At the moment, what's been happening all afternoon is a kind of chaos. We're meant to be depicting chaos. We are not meant to be the chaos. So the challenge now, as we go on, is for the cast to just come together and depict chaos rather than to actually be chaos.
Pretty tense.
Nervous. Yeah, very, very nervous. That's why God is wrong. I know that by heart.
Bit nervous. Everyone's forgetting the scenes after scenes.
Yes.
So
Well, at this moment I feel a mixture of happiness and relief and anticipation and nerves and everything in between.
I just really don't want to trip up. I just want to give it my best, and I really hope I don't mess up. That's really all I want to do my best.
We've done it so many times in the studio, but this is the first time we're doing it in front of the audience.
I put my complete trust in the participants because one, you have no choice, and two, I know they'll do a good job. So break a leg.
I think it'll be a good preview for the 3 nights to come in Northern Ireland.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome to tonight's first performance of The Road to the Battle. It's brought to you by Creative Spark Dundalk in association with the Drogheda Civic Trust and kindly supported by EU's Peace 3 programme. So it's the fruit of at least 12 weeks hard work, written by the cast.
My name is Kwesi Boyce. I am a drama facilitator and I serve as the drama facilitator and the artistic director on this project.
My name is Sophie Coyle. I am the project manager for this project and I work as a community relations officer in Creative Spark.
My name is Declan Gorman. I am the writing facilitator on this project. That means that I have set up programs to encourage the participants to write their own texts. I work closely with Kwesi, the director, on, I suppose, establishing a structure within which that writing works.
This project is taking place at Creative Spark, which is, it plays two roles. It's a creative enterprise centre and it's a community hub for Merhavnamore, Dundalk and the wider County Louth area. Through our community relations programme we run a lot of projects and art classes, and art as a means of rehabilitation for communities is a big part of our vision. So that's how this project kind of came about.
I was invited to come in and meet with Kwesi and Sophie. The idea was that we would work with a local community group who would be brought together specifically for the purposes, and we would study something significant from the history of this island. A decision was made that we would look at the history of the Battle of the Boyne and just put it out there to this community group. At that point we had no idea what the makeup of the group would be. That was an unusual situation for me. Very often I would come in where an existing group is in place and we would work to kind of find a theme that somehow made sense for that group. In this case the theme came first. I was a little nervous about that, but in actual fact it has turned out to be quite an extraordinary journey.
I have been working with a group of participants for the last, let's say, about 10-11 weeks on this project, and in actuality this project is revisited from the original project.
The project started out in 2013 as a creative writing and drama project for members of the community from County Louth. It was funded by the IFI, the International Fund for Ireland, and the group over 12 weeks put together a piece of drama based on the history of the Battle of the Boyne. It was very successful on a number of levels. Just the achievement of the group, many of whom had never been in drama before, hadn't much experience with creative writing. So it seemed to be such a successful project that we really wanted to run it again, and the EU Peace 3 funding offered us the opportunity.
In the first year the ambition was simply to perform locally in Dundalk. It was a Dundalk project with a certain Dundalk focus and it would be for a Dundalk audience. This time out, it will have to stand up in a variety of other settings. It's going to Drogheda at the invitation of the Old Bridge Memorial Centre for the Battle of the Boyne, where the Battle of the Boyne is commemorated in a museum. It's going across the border into Northern Ireland, into Orange Halls.
And this time we are putting the focus of peace and what it means and conflict resolution in the center of this play. So although we're doing the play again, it's taking on a new lease of life.
My name is Sally Brown. My husband died at the Battle of the Boyne, along with my eldest son. I was pregnant when Joseph left home. He didn't know, he never knew his baby son. I was left with no man and no money, with 6 starving children. There was only one thing for it: dress as a soldier and go to war myself.
The reason I decided to take part in the project this year is twofold. The first reason was I just thought it was very, very interesting. And the second reason is I've gotten to a stage in my life where I really want to challenge myself, move myself out of my comfort zone and try things I've never tried before.
Well, when I was 8, I started doing speech and drama, just elocution lessons where we did more about speech rather than actual drama per se. But I took part in a few school plays, and when I was in 5th year, I heard about the Battle of the Boyne project, so I decided to give it a go.
I did it last year, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I should better come back and try it again this year.
I've had a great interest in drama since I was really young, so I've always kind of been doing different drama projects and just kind of looking around town, seeing what drama projects are going on, seeing what I can get involved in. So I saw this and I was like, it could be good, because I also am kind of into history a bit, so I said, may as well join up and see what it's about.
How I heard about the project is Kwesi is a friend of mine, and he had something up on Facebook, and I was like, I'd be interested to do some theatre anyway. And I got in touch with him, and that's how I'm in the project.
Initially, I just came in to watch what was going on, and I just liked what I saw. And I've never actually acted before, been in drama before, but I just said, okay, let me give it a go. And it became part of me, yeah, and I loved it.
I got into this project because of Kwesi more so than anything else. I was looking for a nice project to get stuck into, something with a little bit of meat behind it. And Kwesi very kindly invited me down one of the evenings to sit in one of the workshops, and I'm here ever since.
Because I was always interested in drama, and from a spur back, or years, but I never had the chance before to take part. A lady I know, she was the person that first introduced me to it. She knew that I was interested in drama, so she gave me a leaflet and said, why don't you try, go to a creative spark. I got that leaflet. I just had to try it for myself, and just to see, just out of curiosity, how well I would do. So I decided, well, why not go? And then I came down and I met Kwesi. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot better now than I'd even expected. It was a great experience.
I do drama with Mad Youth Theatre, which is our artistic director's youth theatre for children and teenagers from the age of 12 to 21.
I've been involved in drama for about 2 years with with Mad Youth Theatre with Kwesi Boyce, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. Like, not so much for the acting, like I never dream of being an actor, but more so for the interpersonal skills and talking to other people and dealing with situations, being able to make decisions and all that. 'Cause I used to find it really hard to make decisions, and now Youth Theatre's just helped me so much. It's great.
You don't like Willie might stay. You'd be tying it up with us, won't you? King James needs good men.
Who, me? My family's completely against war. I'm a pacifist.
Pacifist is a deserter. We offer a soldier's pay. So what's it to be, loudmouth? A shilling from the crown, or a bullet between the eyes for the deserter?
Firstly, it was something I was aware of, but I didn't have a massive amount of knowledge about the Battle of the Boyne.
There was a place we travelled to in Drogheda. I can't really remember. We saw so many historic things. We saw so many the people that have fought war before and everything. It really helped me because there was a lot of things I didn't really know about the history of Ireland.
Being honest, I didn't know much about the Battle of the Boyne because it was just an idea that to learn about it through drama was something that would be even more interesting, because I like the fact that you can learn whilst doing something instead of learning it out of a book or studying it. I don't like studying at all. So like when I'm doing it something physically, it's amazing to be able to learn about it in that way.
We took a field trip down to the Old Bridge Heritage Centre in Drogheda. We went with a historian who kind of gave us a really good idea of the history of the battle that took place there. And I think this fueled people's imagination and gave them a better idea for their roles that they were about to write. So we developed out of that, devised theatre. All the characters were very much from the perspective of the participants, which gave a really fresh outlook on kind of a well-known piece of Irish history.
On my land, and on my father's land. Sure, what will we do? And who's going to pay for it all? Huh? But I can't say a word. Can't talk to men like that when their blood's boiling up in a fight like that. They'll chop up an old man like me. Ah, jeez. Just like swatting a fly to them, lads.
The participants are a very diverse group of people. We have members of the cast and members of the writing team who are from Africa, from Asia, from different parts of Europe, Eastern Europe. And so, you know, that from the very beginning, this was never going to be a conventional treatment of the Battle of the Boyne, which we tend to think about as a story from our own bipolar history of Catholicism and Protestantism, of North and South. So from the very beginning, it became something different to what I had expected before the people came into the room. We also have younger people, older people. So it was unintentionally an intergenerational and intercultural project that nonetheless focuses on a moment in Irish history. And I think draws from that moment in Irish history a lot of really quite interesting universal lessons.
Well, in the process of creating the character, you know, there's a lot of creative writing, and then the writing goes away to Declan, and he sort of mixes it up together, and it comes back, and you have to contemplate what's going through the character's mind, and then you put yourself in their shoes, and you realise what's going on in their head at that point, and it allows you to portray them very well on stage.
The character I play, in a lot of ways, the more I started thinking about her, there's a lot of myself in her anyway. It's very interesting because the more you get further down the route of the character, you discover more and more things about her, and it gets bigger and bigger who she is, and it becomes more clear in my head who this character now is and what the outcome will be for this character.
I'm playing two different characters. So my first character is a soldier. His name is John Reed. So he's kind of a mercenary. I think he's experienced enough. So he's kind of interesting to play because I'm not an experienced soldier. So it's a bit hard to get into his shoes a bit. So it was interesting to see how I could get into his mind and how I could play him. And then I've got another character who only shows up in one scene. He's the gravedigger. So also that's not something I really would have much experience with.
In the play, my character is Jack. He's a wounded war soldier who was at the battle and lost his legs. And he goes on in later life, confined to the wheelchair, and becomes quite a bitter and resentful man. His mother, Cindy, is quite worried about him and his sort of mental state, and is very worried and sort of tries to bring him back to being more helpful and happy and friendly.
I played the mother of Jack, the boy that went to the war. I felt guilty for allowing him to go. So when he came back on a wheelchair, he can't do anything because he used to be a very active child. So I just have to be there for him because we were just me and him alone in the house.
You know, everybody, you know, they say, you know, like, you know, you laugh at a wedding, cry at a funeral. When a baby is born into any society, it is a moment of celebration. And so we do a lot of work, and in the early days of this project, we looked a lot at those kind of universal stories, you know, the mother-son relationship, you know, the mother losing her son to the war, the mother dealing with the son coming home with a lost limb. One of the most emotional moments that I can recall from our year and a half on this programme was the first improvisation, where Cynthia, who is an African woman, worked with Ben, who was an Irish boy, about that scene where he comes home from the war and she's his mother. And, you know, in a way it's a kind of an incongruous scene if you think about literally the history of the Battle of the Boyne. It would be quite unlikely that a soldier coming home from the Boyne would have had an African mother, although indeed it was an international war. But that didn't matter at all. What was much more important was how they improvised that scene. It felt immediately very real, very credible. The mother's grief, the son's anger, the reconciliation, it all happened in a 2-minute improvisation, which we captured immediately in writing, and it's still there in the performance.
In my character, Beth Liston, she's a woman who's working as a nurse. Her husband has gone away to war, leaving her with her 6-year-old daughter, Sarah, and now she's just in a state of shock of her husband dying, and she's now never seeing him again, and she is just in a state of neutrality about the whole war. She just hates it, and she just can't, and her husband is passionate enough to think he can change things, but Beth is just she just doesn't want to expose her daughter Sarah to anything like that.
The challenges I'm facing putting myself into a past character are it's the way they used to think, the way they used to act. What we have nowadays, they didn't have that luxury, and it was hard to kind of get them characters into life in nowadays and presented it in a way that people understand they are the people from past. It was a challenge. It was tough, but because we've done so many rehearsals with Kwesi, with Declan himself, we just got good at it. So it's good.
This character I'm trying to put myself in is very different to who I am, because he has a kind of cynical kind of outlook. But if that was me in that situation, I'd be getting emotionally involved with a lot of people, which is something he's not doing.
The character I've built is mine, and I own it, and I created it with my imagination as well as researching all the information and looking into what the era, how it was, how the conflict affected on everyone's part of the war, how the county and all was mixed up with it. So I really learned a good bit.
Well, in my own family experience, I experienced an awful lot of loss, and there's a lot of sadness. And as the character, she experienced a loss, like the loss of her family. I know from personal experience exactly what that's like. So I was able to put some of myself into her, put how I feel, through the character, because I experienced a lot of death and suffering too, just as she has.
It's as if these kind of existing characters are so real to the performers and to the writers and to us that they go through the towns and villages of Ireland as marauding soldiers or hungry soldiers or wives or children or whatever it would have done in that time, searching for their menfolk, trying to find meaning in all of this, and they're meeting new people along the way. So there's a visceral kind of immediate reality about the way in which the work is actually being created that I think translates into an energy. I hope it will translate again into an energy on the work. Certainly first time out that kind of happened. The unexpectedness of things actually was part of what held it together. It's a very fragmented piece of work, and in a way that's very appropriate because war and battle and the disintegration of societies that happens at times of conflict is a fragmenting experience for individuals, for men, for women, and for children in particular. So I think we've captured that, an energy of that, whereas maybe if I had been commissioned to just simply sit down and write a play about the Battle of the Boyne, I would have gone at it in a much more conventional, structured, sort of textbook scriptwriter's way. So I'm really excited by the journey we've been on. It's been a very exciting creative journey, and also from a personal, I suppose, bonding way, and from a learning perspective and what we've learned about our own history, what we've learned about the history that is allegedly belongs to another community but in fact is part of our own very much part of our own story, and how we've actually looked at that history through the eyes of people from Nigeria, from Pakistan and so on. It's been this extraordinary, we're never comfortable with it. It's never easy. We can never simply work with cliches or stereotypes because they're challenged all the time by the participants themselves.
I want the participants to be truthful to their character and their story and tell their side. I think that's important. And I think when they bring that to the table and in their performances, we will look past, the whole who's right, who's wrong, who's better, who's less than. I think we just look at the heart and the story of it, and I think that's as important in this project and in this story.
You give that, will you, Mike, pass the water and the blanket? People have been taken out and shot for less.
You stupid drunken fool! Do you think I'm afraid of such scum? No boy dies at my doorstep miles away from his own mother without some small act of kindness. All I did was give him water and a blanket. Now get out!
You watch it, Bridget Ward. You watch it. That's all I'm saying.
So the last few weeks, we've been working on the next level of the participants, because some of the participants has developed and has matured, and artistically as well as personally throughout this project. So we have invited people like the Think Bucket crowd from Belfast to do conflict resolution with the participants, and with myself, we've worked on sharpening and really working at the technical sides of the performance, and really looking and digging into characters and understanding what they're doing while they're performing.
I really am enjoying the project at the minute. The workshops, we have some amazing fun in it as well, so we're getting the job done and we're having a laugh at the same time.
Well, the conflict in the north, I think I was always aware, because I think I'm a different age to a lot of the group. I'm a lot older, so I more or less have lived through the 70s and 80s when the conflict was at its height. So I think I probably already would have a certain understanding that some of the younger members of the group wouldn't have. And of course the Battle of the Boyne being at the very root cause of it. But I think I've always had an innate understanding of the conflict in the north anyway.
In the curriculum now, they don't cover it really anymore at all. So I've definitely learned a lot about it, because before all I knew was like, the Battle of the Boyne, that happened down in Meath. And I think we'd been to the centre on a school trip or something once, but I was really young, so I don't remember much of it. So getting to go down there and learn about it, I thought was really interesting, and just to see like what was going on, how it happened. Because just like I love to learn history, so it was great for me to learn it. And I think it's just a really interesting thing, so I'm glad we can do this to let more people know about what it was and how it happened. So
definitely after taking part in the project, I feel like I learned a lot about the history of the Battle of the Boyne and how the conflict in Northern Ireland started off.
I was familiar with just a vague story, but since I got into this project last year, I got to search more, I got to learn more, and now I know a good bit of history.
When you have conflict between two people, between communities, between country to country, at the end there's always an end to it. There's definitely an end to every conflict.
And I think like over time and through education that will go away. You just need to give it time and understanding.
Yeah, I'd feel I'd be a lot clearer on the roots of it more so than anything else. With a little bit of the research that I had to do, why William of Orange was, went into it, and the relationship between himself and James. So it kind of opens your eyes a little bit more, but the religious aspect of it, to be honest, for me was more of a sideline than anything else. I suppose you could say if you read through it, it's a little bit of a glorified family feud because he's related to him as well. So it's but yeah, it does kind of open your eyes to the little quirks of war and the reasoning behind it.
Well, back in my childhood, it still stays with me today. We were always told, never get involved in religion and politics. So that has stayed with me. So that's why I decided to be diplomatic about it.
The piece of work should stand up if it was brought to Paris, if it was brought to Nigeria. It needs to stand up as a piece of work unto itself. It has its own integrity. But you can't help yourself, it's a human thing, to wonder how will audiences read it, particularly because even, 10, 15, 20 years into kind of the reconstruction of Irish society and of Northern Irish society, these stories still have resonance. They have enormous emblematic and symbolic meaning for people, sometimes in a very negative way, but sometimes also in a very affirmative way. So people will feel a sense of ownership, and I think there'll be a lot of knowledge as well about the history in some of the places that we will go. So it behoves us to address the history respectfully, with respect for what is. Nobody really knows the entire facts of history, but there are versions, and we've been very, very clear about our education. We don't have anything that we think is inaccurate, but it is a speculative story, and it's all. But in the end of the day, it's all about the human response to war. And I imagine that particularly some of the older people, like people of maybe my own generation, will have had actual experience of living through a time of conflict, and so I think I'm very interested myself to see. My sense of anticipation will be to see how this recreation of a battle from a couple of hundred years ago is in fact not a memorial museum piece, but in fact is a recall of what it is like to live with bullets and bayonets and strife going on around you, as many people of my generation actually lived through.
It's something that I've always been kind of aware of over the years, being young enough when things were still rough enough, on living on the border and that. But I'd be quite tolerant in that kind of regard anyway. It kind of opened my eyes to look at it again with a refreshed view and just be a little bit more aware of it, because even though I'm not so touchy about it, not everybody is.
I feel great sympathy for both sides because of all this sadness and the loss. Like, so many lives were lost on both sides. Like, they experienced suffering too, and the loss of family and friends and everything they knew, all gone in just that short space of time.
I think it's long been proven that the arts have a crucial role in sort of rehabilitating communities, like giving people new confidence in themselves just through the participation in an arts project, or simply by being around other people. So I've seen that in the participants here. I've seen them coming on and the new friendships formed, and that in itself is a brilliant tool for conflict, dealing with conflict, breaking down barriers. And in this case, we're looking specifically at a kind of iconic period in the history of Ireland, maybe where the conflict in the north derived from. So, it's doing its job. Arts is a really important tool for the community. So,
in the kind of work that I do, and in the kind of work that community artists do, in general, is to kind of get people talking and get people reacting and responding to a specific piece, whether it's drama, whether it's visual arts, or whether it's music. The whole idea of an artist to get people saying, "Oh, that's interesting," or "That was okay," or "That was brilliant." And I think using drama as a way to look at conflict and to look at lives affected by conflict is one way of getting people to explore feelings and issues and relationships between the human lives and the conflict that happens. So I think it's the best way to kind of get people talking.
I am a passionate believer in the role of the arts in peace building. I have been involved in the whole area of community arts practice. I'm a theatre professional. I work with professional theatre makers. I've worked in all kinds of professional theatre settings. But I'm very comfortable working with the arts in community settings because I just know for a fact, because of my own personal experience of seeing it time and time again, that the arts helps to move societies forward. The arts can have a very healing effect in places where there is fragmentation or broken relationships or whatever it might be, and that could be anything to do with, from societies that are damaged by drug abuse or poverty or neglect or whatever it is. Drama then, to be specific about drama as distinct from the arts generally, I think can go a step further because of the very nature of dramatic performance is about assuming the role of the other. You're always taking on the role of somebody else. There's a new wave of drama now, there's a new movement which is much more autobiographical and confessional, but traditionally I think drama has been about being somebody else, being in somebody else's skin, being in somebody else's personality, being in somebody else's history. And so that very act alone causes you as a performer to go to another place. And particularly if you're an amateur performer or an inexperienced performer, that can be a very exciting adventure. And to place that through works of fiction that nonetheless kind of capture the world of the people who are literally in our own lives and in our own society and in our own history perceived as the other, whether it's migrants, whether it's people from another community, across the religious divides and so on and so forth. I think that very act causes you to stop and think about who are these people, why are they living the way they are living, in what way are they different to us, much more importantly, in what way are they the same as us, what are the common grounds.
Well, is Johnny gone to heaven?
Yes, Sarah.
But you said he went to fever hospital.
Your brother did go to the fever hospital, but now he's gone to heaven.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh God, I don't know.
Is Daddy gone to heaven?
Yes, I think so.
Daddy never came home, and Johnny never came. Mommy, where are you going? I don't know. I don't know. Mommy, wait for me.
My very first time down in Northern Ireland was a couple of years ago. I went down to do some shopping, and myself and a couple of people, we were on the bus and we were very nervous about going down because it was before the peace, there wasn't any peace at that time. And then back now, a few years later, when I went down again, was very, very different. People were more relaxed. And when I was going in to the shops there and all, that the shops in fact now are exactly the same as they are here in the south. That it's just the very same going. There's no difference now in either the north or the south.
It's a really nice place. In the media they kind of play it up that there's always riots going on and stuff, but there isn't really that much. It's just, I think, I don't know, they just want a bad news story or whatever. It's really nice. I've had really good experiences up there, so I really like it.
I'm slightly nervous because the history of the conflict up there has stemmed from the Battle of the Boyne with the Protestant versus Catholic argument there. So it could be sort of a conflicting opinions situation up there.
I think it's quite a relevant place to put on the show more so than anything else. There will be quite a lot of people up there that have an opinion of the Battle of the Boyne, as I'm sure there is very much down here. But ultimately, the opinion is going to be very much different, and it'll be nice to see what their take on the whole road to hell is.
Doing a play about the Battle of the Boyne is already a contentious, talking topic anyways, especially in the north of Ireland, and especially in an Orange Hall. So I'm really, nervous but yet excited about bringing our story to it. There's nothing made up about it, but the history and the facts are still there. But what is new, and what is hopefully going to give new perspective, is the lives that is affected by battle, by war.
Lives destroyed, and not just those broken bodies back there, the poor families.
And what for? What will ultimately be achieved by this bloodbath? And will anyone actually care?
Nurse, some water, please.
I believe that this time around it's going to be better than last year. I hope so anyway. Yeah, I hope so. But the nervousness will always be there because you're meeting a new group of crowd, a new group of people.
But the nerves always get to you, especially when you're on the first 5 minutes before you get, the last 5 minutes before you get on stage to do your first production. That is the scariest. But as soon as you've done it once or twice, then you'll just fly and you'll love it.
There'll be a pre-show talk, which will be great, so it'll encourage conversation and greater awareness of that period of history. And there'll be a Q&A afterwards. So yeah, I think it's going to really work well as a tool to, just to allow people to look at conflict and talk about it, and maybe come away feeling like they've learned something from it.
This project has been funded with Peace 3 funding. It's been managed by the County Louth Peace and Reconciliation Partnership on behalf of the SEUPB, which is the organisation which sort of dispenses funding. I've worked on a number of projects that have been funded under Peace 3 and indeed under the previous peace programmes. I think it is a vital source of funding obviously for peace building, that's what they're about, but it is a vital source of funding in the arts as well. This project is part of a coherent process of peace building where the arts are understood now to have real meaning in the lives of people and real meaning in the rebuilding of society.
Now we are at our final stretch to this project, and I'm very, very excited. We've included the new characters and the new participants. There's some new writing, and also there's a lot of new input, as in what is peace, what is conflict, and that is now going to be put in the center of the whole play. I think that new element is going to make the performances more interesting, more meatier, and more engaging.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was so exhilarating, but at the real time I enjoyed it because now the first one's out of the way.
Brilliant. I think it went brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah.
Couldn't have asked it to go any better.
I mean, the participants, the actors themselves were quite worried about lines and blocking and all these different things, and I told them, I said, listen, don't worry right before you go on, because that's the energy. But it's something about when there's an audience there, or the lights and the sound, and it all comes together. They really lend themselves to that, and I applaud them. Well done.
I'm delighted with all of us. We all did very, very well. And we're all looking forward to tomorrow and our next two performances. We are going to our third performance in the Ivy Seminar in Banbridge.
Well, we got a good reaction in Belfast, so I don't think there's going to be any issue.
I'm looking forward to the performance, and I'm definitely going to give a stronger performance now than before.
So I think it's a little bit of nerves just to kind of get back into it after the last two performances.
Yeah, I'm sort of don't know what to expect, but I'm pretty confident that we can do a good job. We can hit it right out of the park.
Your Majesty, or is it just a trick?
A trick? My gallant general fighting Dick? A trick?
A small decoy?
Decoy? Decoy? Oh boy. No, not at all. He'll send them westwards to Dunor. He'll send 10,000. I'll send more.
A ruse. A wild goose. Lead our gallant troops away.
Not at all. There's no excuse to stay. Dispatch the artillery. Do as I say.
And small diversion to lead us down the garden path.
Diversion? Diversion? No, I'm quite certain. I'm off to take my morning bath. I'll leave my man, they'll take Dunor. What a wonderful sport, this Irish war! Tally-ho!
This is it, final show. It's been an incredible journey the last 3 performances, and today has been quite an interesting day of bonding and get together, and we truly learned a lot about each other, which was good, and I think that time was much needed. I think as a group, the cohesiveness and the togetherness is stronger than it has ever been since the beginning. I could already see the emotion goes on in some people, knowing that this is the last show. I won't lie to you and say that, well, I feel nothing. I also feel a bit like, wow, feel that sense of end. But I say this will be a project that we won't forget, that we will be forever be part of our memories, and it's all thanks to everyone who kind of volunteered all that time to take part in this project. So kudos to you, every last one of you. You've done a great job, and I think that where we go on now from this evening, we are just a couple hours away from stepping up onto the stage, and what is going to be the best performance that they're going to give ever in this project. I wish them luck. I know they're going to raise the roof, raise the standards, raise their voice, and also just absolutely, be carried away. And that's what I want to see happen. Everyone get carried away. The audience get carried away. The performers get carried away. The building get carried away.
It was kind of last minute because I think they've done loads of rehearsals before I kind of joined in, and everybody kind of knew each other, so it was kind of awkward. But after a while, everybody was so nice to me, and it was really enjoyable. Yeah, the first one, it was kind of nerve-wracking because it was the first one, the first real thing. But I think we went really, really well, and it was really fun. And even being with everybody else was I say even more fun than doing the play itself. Just having it was just so much fun, and I think that was even more fun than actually doing the play.
It's been an eye opener, I suppose, as much as anything else. Not only getting to tour with the actual show itself, but getting to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds. Really kind of having to answer their questions and look at things from their point of view at the questions and answers at the end. Really kind of eye-opening, but a nice enriching kind of experience.
Well, yeah, the Battle of Boyne project has been the first time that I'd ever been to the north part of Ireland, and I wasn't sure how this would come about. But I was interested to see how they were different and how the society was different. Yeah, compared to that, it seems pretty much the same. Only and people are pretty welcoming. Only they seem to show great pride in belonging.
To be honest, the experience of doing the show this year was amazing. I'm a bit upset now that I missed such a great experience last year when the project was out and I was admitted to hospital. But it's great now that I can come back. I did it up the north and say that I had my own character in it. It's just amazing.
Oh, it's been a great experience. I learned a great deal about the Battle of the Boyne, and the acting experience too. I never did any acting before. It was only since this project started, and I'd love to do more of that.
Even though mine was only for about a month, I just jumped in. Someone wasn't able to make it for the first 2 nights. I just decided to try it out, but it's been good, yeah. Enjoyed it. Met loads of new people, experienced loads of new things, travelled places I haven't been before. it's just been a good experience.
Great. It's been really great, and everybody's been really great, and it's like new friends now that I'm going to say hi to on the street.
Thank you everybody that's been with the show, affiliated with the show.
It's been really good. I really enjoyed it. All the shows were good. Some I felt went better, but all of them went above average, I guess. Like, there's none of them that I'd say it was a bad show. They were all good shows, so that was good.
It's been very amazing and challenging for me. Like, I have never ever acted before. I've never been on stage to act before. But initially when I started, it was a bit difficult, but as I started going for rehearsal all the time, it became very okay for me, All in all, I would say it was a very interesting and amazing experience for me. I really, really liked it, and I wish it could continue.
It's been good. The experience was good. Now again, I've been with this project since last year, and this is just part 2 of the same project. And some of the people are from last year as well, and some of them are new. And it was good working with all of them now. Last show today, and nervous because this show is big, and we just have to present it big. But other than that, as an experience-wise, I was at that level when I started off, and now I am confident to go in front of a group of people and act.
It's been a really long project. This is 2 years for at least the two of us.
It is 2 years.
Because we've been in it. We were in it the first time as well when we did the first edition of the play. Yeah. So we've been through the whole thing. So it's really been a great experience.
When I took all the projects in the first place, I took it on to test myself really and push my boundaries. And when it actually came around, I got really, really nervous and thought, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do this, but I've absolutely loved every minute of it. And I've discovered things about myself that I never knew I could do. And I've enjoyed all the people we've worked with, and so much so that we really want to continue it on. And we're hoping to put together a troupe at some point, and so that we can all come back together and do it again.
Well, tonight is super exciting because it's the last night. I think everybody's going to give it their all. It's really been brilliant. Everybody has got closer over the course of the performances, and yeah, I think we managed to kind of wow audiences wherever we've been. So I'm happy with how it's gone.
It's been great. That's all I have to say. Like, it's been a fun, enjoyable, educational experience. Like, I've learned so much about the Battle of the Boyne from this project, and the Boyne only happened like 20 minutes away from where I live, and it's kind of amazing that I didn't know. It's bad I didn't know as much as I should have, but it's good. Like, it was good laugh, good fun, got to kind of meet other people, and like, to be honest, I didn't know a lot about the unionist side of things in the whole Northern Ireland thing, because I always grew up in a Catholic kind of background, so I only really was here on one side. Now when I see how other people live, and you go to their churches and you go to their communities, and you see how friendly and genuine, and even in this area we're in now, there's Union Jacks everywhere, and they're downstairs, they're advertising for the DUP, but like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, it's politics, but like, it's separate to ordinary people. Like, ordinary people are just people. Like, it's like that song, like, that goes, people are people, so why should it be that you and I should get along so awfully? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people are people. At the end of the day, like, just be good to people, just be cool to people, no matter what their background is, and the real people will talk to you, the nice people will talk to you. That's the biggest thing I learned from this.
This is the fourth and final performance of the Battle of the Boyne, A Road to Hell.
I will do everything in my capacity as a mother to help you out of this frustration. Just promise me you cooperate with me.
I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated.
It's okay, son. We'll sort out something good.
I miss this whole performance has been over. It's just been a wild ride, and it's taken up a lot of time, but it's all been worth it.
It's definitely given me an idea of what it has been like between the both sides and why the north and the south have been so divided.
The cast is so diverse between 11-year-olds right up to myself and Pam. The two old fogies, I suppose you could say, of the group.
Well, I'm probably the fogiest because I think Oisín's a lot younger than I am. But yeah, I suppose we are. We're like the mammy and daddy, really.
But it's nice to see how well we've gelled together, and it was a nice bonding experience as well. But I have to say I will miss a lot of them. Not the young ones so much, but no much young. No, I will. I'll miss the whole rehearsals. I'll miss the whole excitement just before the curtain goes up, and really going to miss that bit.
The group, it's all mixed colours, ages, different experience. So it was actually good to work with a group like this. I got to learn a lot of different things. I just hope this is not the end for everyone and for me as well, as a group wise, and we come up with something else in the future to do together.
It's been a great experience. I'd recommend anybody give it a go at least once in their lives. Get out there on stage and give it a bash, because it's absolutely great fun. And we've met some great people along the way. People who've hosted the events as well have been brilliant, and they're really, really kind and nice to us as well, so it's been fabulous.
Thanks for the great time, everybody. I had a good time. Thank you for making this so enjoyable and letting me into your family of acting.
It was a really good group. It was a really fun experience, and I feel like I've definitely learned a lot about acting from doing it, and I think it was a good idea to do.
I personally really enjoyed the whole experience, and I would really hope to do something similar in the near future. And remember, revenge is the road to hell.
Thanks again, everyone. Thanks to Creative Spark. Thanks to Peachtree. Hey guys. Thanks to everyone who worked hard behind the scenes, who brought the food, which is important. Declan Gorman, who has, even though his work as a writer, who tied the scripts together, has ended, he continued on with our journey. So I'm very, very grateful for that, to have him there by my side continuously. So I think, Declan, thank you so much for being there and giving that support. I just like to say that this will not be the last of these bag of rag by Jacobite conscripts. Yeah, so I'll see you soon, guys. Best of luck tonight.
Excuse me. You're telling me to go to Moyne Valley? My cycling friends.
Was I? The road to